Most gardeners think pest problems begin when insects arrive. The holes appear, the leaves get damaged, something starts eating the crop. And that's when the battle begins. Sprays, traps, treatments, frustration. But what if pests were finding your plants long before the damage ever appeared? What if the problem started weeks earlier, with signals your garden was already sending? Because pests don't usually arrive at random. Many are looking for something specific: a scent, a plant family, tender growth, a weak plant, the perfect place to feed and reproduce. And once you understand what they're responding to, you stop seeing pests as random. You start seeing them as a response. And sometimes those signals are so strong that insects seem to find the plant almost immediately. Which leads to a surprising realization. Your garden may be sending messages long before you ever see the first bug. Messages you didn't even know existed. The secret is that pests follow patterns. They're not making random decisions. They're responding to signals. Young growth tells them food is available. Dense plantings provide shelter. Weak plants are easier to exploit. Certain plant families act almost like magnets. Once you recognize those signals, you start understanding why some gardens struggle while others stay balanced. Because the healthiest gardens don't simply react to pests. They make themselves less inviting. Almost every experienced gardener has had this moment. You walk outside expecting healthy leaves, and it looks like something spent the night punching tiny holes through everything. Arugula, mustard greens, napa cabbage. Some plants seem to attract attention the moment they emerge. If you've ever grown them, you've probably seen the tiny holes. One day the leaves look perfect. A few days later they seem covered in damage. The culprit is often flea beetles, tiny insects capable of turning healthy leaves into something that looks blasted with tiny holes. But here's where the story becomes interesting. Experienced gardeners sometimes grow these plants intentionally. Not because they want flea beetles, but because they know flea beetles want them. The plant's pests attack first can sometimes be used as bait, a trap crop, a sacrificial target. And suddenly, the pest magnet becomes a tool, not a problem. If flea beetles have their favorite buffet, cucumber beetles and squash bugs might have theirs too. And unfortunately, it includes some of the most popular plants people grow every year, the crops that everybody loves, including the pests. Cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, melons, collectively known as cucurbits. Gardeners love them. Unfortunately, cucumber beetles, squash bugs, and vine borers often feel exactly the same way. Have you ever noticed how quickly pests seem to find these plants? Almost as if they were waiting. In many cases, that's because the scent and chemistry of these crops make them especially attractive. And that's why gardeners sometimes plant decoys. Not to eliminate pests completely, but to influence where they go. Because controlling a system is often easier than fighting it. In fact, one particular squash has earned a fascinating reputation. The plant that takes the hit. Blue Hubbard squash. At first glance, it doesn't seem unusual, but gardeners have used it as a trap crop because cucumber beetles often prefer it over nearby crops. At this point, something strange starts to emerge. The plants attracting pests aren't always mistakes. Experienced gardeners sometimes plant them on purpose, which means a pest magnet isn't automatically a problem. Sometimes it's a tool. And here's where the story takes another turn. Because sometimes the plant isn't attracting pests at all. The environment around it is. Imagine a patch of cucumbers growing so densely that sunlight barely reaches the center. Leaves overlapping, air struggling to move, moisture lingering long after watering. At first it looks productive, lush, vigorous, healthy. But Underneath, conditions are changing. The center of the patch stays damp, shaded, and hidden. Exactly the kind of environment many problems love. The entire area becomes easier for problems to develop. And that's the surprising part. Sometimes the plant isn't the magnet, the crowded environment is. Pest problems often begin long before the damage becomes visible. Then comes a stage almost every gardener remembers. The seedling stage. You carefully plant young cucumbers or brassicas. Everything looks promising. Then almost overnight, damage appears. A mature plant might tolerate some feeding. A seedling often can't. The same pest that barely matters later can completely derail a young plant. And this is where many gardeners become confused. They assume the pest suddenly became worse. But the reality is simpler. The pest didn't become stronger. The plant was simply at the weakest stage of its life. Timing changed everything. A different mistake often comes from good intentions. The more is better trap. A plant looks small. You want faster growth, so you add more fertilizer. The leaves respond immediately. Everything becomes greener, larger, lusher, and it feels like success until insects arrive. The new growth looks lush, bright green, fast growing. But to many sap-sucking insects, that soft growth can look like an easy meal. Sometimes feeding harder creates softer, more vulnerable plants. The goal isn't maximum growth, it's balanced growth. Up until now, we've been talking about attracting pests. But what if some of them aren't arriving at all? What if they've been waiting there the entire time? Imagine cleaning up the garden in spring. You plant the same crop in the same location. The weather looks good. Conditions seem perfect. Yet the pests return almost immediately. Why? Because they may never have left. Squash bugs, vine borers, other crop-specific pests. Some survive close to where their favorite plants grew the year before. Hidden in debris, protected through winter, waiting. And suddenly the problem looks very different. The pests may not be arriving at all. They may already be waiting, ready for the exact crop they remember from last season. This leads to one of the most common mistakes gardeners make: planting pest magnets without a plan. Trap crops can be powerful tools, but only when they're managed intentionally. A breeding station, a place where pest populations increase instead of concentrating for control. That's why understanding the system matters. A trap only works when there's a strategy behind it. So what do smart gardeners do differently? They rotate vulnerable crops. They protect young plants during the most vulnerable weeks, sometimes with row covers early in the season, then removing them later when pollinators need access. They improve airflow. They remove old debris. They scout regularly instead of reacting only after damage appears. They diversify plantings. And when they use trap crops, they use them deliberately, not accidentally, because prevention usually starts long before pests become visible. One final discovery changes the way many gardeners think about this entire topic. The plants themselves are not the enemy. A cucumber isn't bad. Mustard isn't bad. Blue Hubbard squash isn't bad. And the smartest gardens don't spend all season fighting pests. They stop inviting them in the first place. And once you understand that, you stop treating every insect as a surprise and start seeing the hidden messages your garden has been sending all along. Every plant you grow sends a signal. Some invite pests, others invite balance. And once you understand those signals, you stop fighting your garden. You start working with it.